to me about this personnel crisis referenced by the Minister last night. We're seeing a high attrition rate with defence personnel. Yes, in part it's recruitment, but once we get them in there, are we looking after our people as we should?
I looked at the figures the other day for the three services and they were all below 10%. That is a wastage rate of 10% per year. Now, that's not too bad a wastage rate. This government has said they're going to recruit 18,500 people in the next couple of years in order to be able to staff quite properly, staff and man all parts of their planned acquisitions. Now, that's only the first step. To me, it seems as though what we need to do is we need to create a military which is nasty enough, talk about missiles, which is sustainable, that is, it can fight for a long time, and which has mass, which is bigger. And Peter, what this requires is a military reserve, Army, Navy and Air Force, a part-time military reserve. By all means, put all your big money into a permanent full-time military, but then create what Ukraine has created, and that is a sense of ownership of the Australian people of the defence function. At the moment, we have a very small defence reserve, and it's not well equipped, and it has the wrong focus entirely. We should have 100,000 people in our reserve at the absolute minimum.
It makes such good sense, and if you're able-bodied like I am and a lot of people are, we've all got to find the time to put our hand up for the reserve, and I think this is where employers can be supported to give something back, to give people the time to do the training. I know there's a X number of days that is around for reserve training, but we could probably do more. I want to ask you about comments you've made in Senate estimates about the culture of secrecy in defence. What do you mean by that?
Now, the first question I asked in estimates was, what kind of a war are you preparing for? To me, that sounds like a perfectly logical question to ask. If we don't know what war that our government and our military and our Department of Defence is preparing for, how can we ever assess whether we're putting too much money in or too little money, whether we're doing the right thing? Now, last night in the Defence Minister's speech, he started into this area of talking to it. But we note that I don't think we will convince the Australian people that they should be prepared to come up with the money or to come up with the service until we start talking about the magnitude of the threat. And the magnitude of the threat is China, and the Prime Minister will meet with President Xi this afternoon, but we've got to stand up to this. We can't keep saying, you know, are we preparing for some magic country coming out of nowhere? No, we're preparing for the unknown caused by China's increased aggression. And for China to throw us a bone of a sideline meeting at the G20 and expect, as the Chinese Premier said, to meet us halfway. He said Australia has got to meet China halfway. No, we don't. We must be strong enough to stand up to China, backed by our alliance partners, stand up to China and say what we are. Thank God the Prime Minister did say that he was going to not surrender any of our interests or our values.
A little bit of realism we need on this day where I think a lot of people are seeing or reading too much into this meeting with President Xi. It's good that we're having the meeting. Don't get me wrong, it's good that we're having the meeting, but we've got to stick to our values as well. Former military man, now Senator Jim Molan, thank you as always.